Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. With the new year upon us, I wanted to take a little bit of time to discuss some of my hopes in general for the future of the monster taming genre. This isn't going to be a list style video, but more so a casual sort of discussion about what I'd like to see in a broad sense. If you guys want to watch some videos that are like that, I do have a best games of 2023 and an everything you need to know sort of guide video to 2024 in the genre, but this video is going to be a little bit different. So since 2020, which is what I consider the boom of the monster taming genre, we've received a ton of great monster taming experiences, from more Pokemon-esque games like Nexomon and Coromon to completely unique experiences like Cassette Beasts. Furthermore, we've also seen a resurgence in larger, usually Japan-only franchises like Monster Rancher and Dragon Quest Monsters, both of which had a long period of time without Western releases for their franchises. I've also noticed that Digimon's been taking things a little more seriously in the West as well, and if the rumors regarding Yokai Watch Ghostcraft are true, then we might be looking at even more of this, which is honestly great. It's no secret that the whole Pokemon Sword and Shield controversy is what sort of led to this boom, but I think that the monster taming genre has far outgrown its initial phase, which primarily just consisted of people trying to look for something to replace Pokemon. The genre is much more than that. We've got fans from all across the table. Some love Pokemon, but also love monster taming games. Others did find something to replace that fix. Some don't even care about any of this and just want to play some awesome games, and you got everything in between as well. Anyways, this leads into what my hopes are for what I think is going to be the second phase of monster taming, if you will. Whereas the first phase was sort of rebuilding from the ruins of the monster taming hype that was kind of abandoned in the early 2000s, which led into that sort of dead period. This new phase is going to be building upon the new monster taming foundation that's recently been established. I'm hoping that 2024 and beyond bring forth more unique monster taming projects that don't just try to be Pokemon, but instead bring forth their own unique mechanics. I hope that we get more Japanese developers that maybe don't think the West is viable to decide to start bringing their games here, or even franchises that have long perished get reinvigorated. It'd be amazing to see new Fossil Fighters, new Spectrobes, new Metabots, Robopon, and more. The indie developers have really been carrying the genre on their back thus far, and I'd like to see these larger studios also shed a light on monster taming, because I think if we do start to get more established monster taming IPs, the effects will trickle down to the indie developers as well. From the indie side of things, something I want to see is a lot more marketing. I know marketing can be expensive, but even just reaching out to other content creators or putting a very small amount into Google Ads or whatever can really go a long way. As the genre has been getting bigger and bigger, we've been getting more and more indie games, and now that my channel is a little bigger, I've also noticed a bit of an aggressive push from certain developers to have me market their games for them. And while I'm always down to shed a spotlight on various monster taming games, I'm only one person, and I also have to take into consideration what my audience wants. If I have one developer that's asking me to make numerous videos about their game and the audience isn't really receptive to that game, and maybe it's even not a game that's my usual taste, it puts me in a really difficult position because I have trouble covering things in depth that I don't have a personal interest in. And while I love monster taming games, some games do it for me, some games don't, just like with any genre. Look at Dragon Quest Monsters, for example. Sure, the content is doing well, but I've gone far beyond what I've needed to do for content. I've experimented with fusion way more than I needed to for a video. I even made post-game Let's Plays, which my Let's Plays don't perform that well, but I just love the game so much that I was willing to do that. Same goes for Cassette Beasts and other games like that. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that I do hope that more indie developers will try to market their game beyond just reaching out to me, because as much as I like to go crazy for everyone, I'm a really busy dude outside of YouTube even. I'd also like to see more transparency, especially when it comes to Kickstarter games. There have been some games that have been updating us constantly, like Elements, but there's also been some games that have gone essentially ghost, like Necromancer's Gift and The Last Monsters, and then there's a myriad of games that exist in between. Some games have interesting updates, some games have really bland and technical updates with no substance for long periods of time, etc. I don't want anyone to rush their games, however, there have been quite a few instances of Kickstarter games that haven't really been keeping their communities in the loop, and the few others that do keep their community in the loop don't do so with anything substantial. Take your time with your games, but keep us in the loop and keep your communities alive. Finally, and this goes for both factions of the Pokemon fandom, I'd like to see the weaponization generation of monster taming games for or against the Pokemon franchise diminished to an extent. There's nothing wrong with comparing games to Pokemon or calling something Pokemon-like. You'd be silly to think that Nexomon and Pokemon don't have similarities. However, when these games are weaponized to say, this game is better than Pokemon, therefore Pokemon bad, or this game is worse than Pokemon, both in a context that attempts to prop up or degrade Pokemon at the expense of said mon game, then we got a problem. I'm not saying don't make comparisons, but I've just noticed that whenever a new monster taming game comes out, you have a bunch of people that might not have even played it just saying, oh, it looks so much better than Pokemon. Pokemon sucks. Then you have a bunch of defenders that come out and attack that game in order to prop up Pokemon as a result. And it just creates a big mess. It is not what monster taming is all about. You end up causing a lot of these games to get attacked because you put it in that position. All in all, I want to see the genre continue to grow. I want to see indie games get the recognition they deserve. I want to see bigger studios bringing forth good monster taming games, because we all know AAA can get a little dicey with microtransactions and stuff like that. I want to see more games get announced, and I want more transparency overall. The monster taming genre has grown so much, and covering it over the last 4 years with you guys has been amazing, and I look forward to many more to come. That being said, we're almost at 75k as of the time of putting this video together, and I have a lot of hopes for this channel too. I think if we get the right amount of releases and the right amount of hype behind some of these games, we really could hit 100k. I legitimately never thought was possible when I started YouTube. If you do want to subscribe to the channel, I will keep you guys up to date on all the latest monster taming news. You could also check out my Twitter, Discord, Patreon, and channel memberships if you want to go the extra mile. And just wanted to say special thanks to my supporters, especially Droghost, Jim Hamilton, Candy Morency, and TragSoft, and I'll see you next time. Peace.